my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, and just like last week, I don't know what I'm reading because if you haven't been following me this month, I have been playing Leandra's TBRathon. She had 3 different versions of this game that you can play. We have the board game, Paws and Bookshelves, there is a map one, and also a bingo board. I'm taking part in this board game, which is choosing what I read every single week. So I'm going to roll the dice, we're going to see what the next prompt is and what books fulfill that, and then once I finish a book, I have been doing the booktuber bingo. Now currently I have finished 2 prompts. I'm almost through a 3rd prompt. This is The Ways of Seeing by John Berger. If you watched last week's video, you'd know that I'm reading 10 pages a day of this. It's something that me and my partner are doing for 75 days or something. I just know I'm going to be reading 750 pages of non-fiction book across the next month and a bit, and so far I'm enjoying it. This is a little non-fiction book on the ways of seeing, on artwork, how we view things, how we are influenced by society and other things. So far I'm liking it, not loving it as much as I'd hoped. I'm up to page 88 and I will continue reading 10 pages a day. So yeah, I don't know what else I'm now going to be pairing with that. I hope you're all doing really well, and let's get to seeing what the prompt is for this week. Last week we left it on 5-star prediction, and honestly we've got quite a long way to go. I am in danger of finishing January and being stuck within this labyrinth forever. Let's roll and hope we can actually make some progress, because this is not looking good for me. Okay, what are we gonna get? Let's see. A 1. Well, that's not what, that is the opposite of what I wanted, because 1 is what? I'm going to be stuck here forever. Okay, so 1 is look out below, so we go straight back to here, which is an avoided author. I don't have an avoided author on my TBR. Why would I have an avoided author? Okay, I think for this, I will have a look on, say, like my Kindle or something, see if I've got something on there, and we're going to do another roll to get a nicer one. Let's do 1 more. 1 again. Are we actually really? I am never finishing this game, am I? And that is odd number of pages. Well, I am having an absolute crisis right now. So obviously I got a 1, which took me back down to the start, which is an avoided author, which I honestly just don't know what to read for this, because I thought about it and I was like, okay, I could do the Kindle idea, but then I'm looking on my Kindle and the only author that honestly I have been avoiding reading that I have to read from is for Battle of the Booktuber. But I don't really want to start that right now because I'm in the middle of another book for that, and that means that for that book I've got to start a whole new vlog, which I don't really want to do just yet. I've decided not to do that one, which, am I putting off that because it's an avoided author? Yeah, so it would work perfectly for that, but I can't talk to you about what the book is anyway because it's all private until July. And again, I don't want to start it while I'm in the middle of another book for Battle of the Booktuber. I want to at least finish that one first. I've got other things going on. I wasn't planning on reading that book till next month. Then I was having a look through my classics, because classics is just like something that I've been avoiding lately, and one which I started reading last year but never continued is The Collector by John Fowles. And I was having a flick through and I'm like, honestly, I don't even know if I want to read this book anymore anyway, just because I have heard good things about this, but just the way it's written and the perspective I don't enjoy. So I'm honestly considering just unhauling this book. I don't want to because I really like this cover, but I was thinking about, oh, I could read this because, you know, avoided, I DNF'd it, would avoid picking it back up for ages. And then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I actually don't even want to read this. So I'm then like, well, why do I keep it then? Why haven't I just unhauled it if it's a DNF that I just don't want to read? So this prompt is really making me realise I'm gonna probably unhaul this book. Feel free to tell me if you've read The Collector and you think I should give it another try, but yeah, this is one that I had started, got a little bit of the way through and just wasn't feeling this sort of story. Also wasn't gelling with the narrator, and that's something I have come to realise about myself, is if I don't like the narrator or just like the tone of the story, I am really gonna DNF a book. So it's really bad, but I just can't help it. So I'm actually going to put this on my unhaul pile. So I mean, that's helped me clear out something off my TBR, but that still leaves me with I don't know what to read. And then the second one that I did, which is odd number of pages, doesn't match any of the 4 books I've got left on my January TBR to read. So I'm just like, what do I do? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Oh, hang on, I've got one more book I can check, hang on. I am in the middle of reading The Baby Dragon Cafe for my Cozy New Releases video, so I could see if this is an odd number of pages, which it is. It's 309, so I could do that. But then for an avoided, the only other one that keeps coming to my mind right now as an avoided author is Leigh Bardugo, The Familiar. Leigh Bardugo is an author that I avoid all their YA stuff after having tried, whatever their YA series was. The Shadow of... oh, that's gonna go down really badly. Shadow and Bone. Wasn't a fan of that series. Liked the first book. Hated the way it went. Hated the love interest. Awful. Definitely should have been the Darkling. Do like Ninth House and that series so far, although again, preferred the first book to the second book, so, you know, that's not going amazingly. And The Familiar, I've heard lots of conflicting things. Some people have really liked this, like Jan Agton is someone that really liked this and is making me want to read it, but then a lot of my friends, Danny, didn't like this book. So this has definitely been an avoided one, but I have also been thinking about picking it up, so I could read this one, which it looks like, if this is odd pages, it is! Oh my gosh, okay. So this is 379 pages, so it looks like we're ignoring my TBR and reading this one, which I did have video plans that I wanted to do this month of like a sci-fi, cozy sci-fi reading week. That doesn't look like it's happening, unless it can happen next week. I guess I'm going to be reading The Familiar, and we have unhauled a book. This is not how I expected this week to go. Like, at all. What sort of evil genius does a book stack where you go back to the beginning and then goes avoided author? What? What? I have messaged Leandra to tell her that her evil geniusness has been noted, and yeah. What? But okay, this is what I'm going to be reading. I'm actually not starting it today. I'm going to be starting this tomorrow. I am hoping to read some more of my Battle of the Booktuber book when I'm at work today. That's the one I've been taking to work. Well, taken to work. I'm reading it on my Kindle for my lunch break. So yeah, I think I will be starting this one before work tomorrow, and we'll just see. I'm kind of nervous. I am looking forward to it because the thing is, like, I was interested in this one because I thought it was about vampires, but then there's no vampires. My sister's read this and said it wasn't bad. We'll see, we'll see. Hopefully I'm on the side with my sister and Jan. That would be amazing. It says, in a shabby house in the new capital of Madrid, Louisa uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless toil. Oh yeah, okay, and then this is where her like mistress discovers that she has magic and then starts using her for things. She gets embroiled with lots of other things that are going on. So it sounds like it could be really good and really interesting, but I have heard a lot of mixed things. And honestly, I have been avoiding Leigh Bardugo. I do think that apart from whenever we finally get that next book in the Ninth House series, I'm probably just not going to pick up any more by Leigh Bardugo, unless of course I love this, in which case I'll stick to her adult stuff and then just ignore anything young adult. It's not because I don't like young adult, I actually do. One of the books I wanted to read is The Prison's Throne by Holly Black. I mean, I love Holly Black's books, I really, really do. I always have done. Like, when I was younger, reading some of like Tithe and things like that, like I really, really enjoyed them. I was actually really feeling this. Except this has an even number of pages and Holly Black is not an avoided author, so it just doesn't work. We'll get to it eventually. This would have worked perfectly for Rainy's challenge. Rainy's got a year-long series reading challenge thing going on that I'm taking part in. Originally on my TBR, I had 3 books. 3 potential books that were going to work for continuing on series, finishing that series. I've not been able to read a single one because of this game. Leandra's game has messed up all my reading plans for this month. It's been so much fun, don't get me wrong, I am having so much fun. No one expected this. So, there we are. We have had an unhaul of a book. We're going to try and read this one. Obviously, if I'm not enjoying it, I will DNF it. I'm not going into it thinking I'm not going to like it. Like, I do hope that I will like it. It's just I'm not going in with really high expectations, and hopefully that will help me. Because originally when I first got this book, I had quite high-ish expectations because, again, this is an adult book. So I was like, okay, I seem to like Leigh Bardugo's adult stuff. So I was like, I'm probably really going to like this. It's giving me vampire feels. Really think I will enjoy this. And then I started hearing all the negative reviews and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I do think the weight has been better for me to lower my expectations, so hopefully I will go into this and end up really liking it. And to be fair, I'm kind of in the mood for something a little bit more gothic leaning, so hopefully this work? I guess we'll find out. What a roll. 2 rolls and it just went wrong. At least I am combining those 2 rolls. I swear to God, the next ladder I get, I'm going up. Because I was an idiot, okay? I have come across 2 ladders in this game so far. Didn't go up either of them because I'm like, I'm gonna get the dogs. That was a terrible idea. Absolute terrible idea. I should have known. But right, okay, thank you so much for joining. This was a bit of a chaotic start. I swear, normally my weekly reading vlogs aren't quite this chaotic, but whenever I'm taking part in a game like this, that just adds a little bit of chaos. It's fun. It's different, and hopefully you don't mind it. I will check in with you soon when I've actually started The Familiar and give you my initial thoughts. Whether I read any more than that book this week, I don't know. And I don't even know what is going to fit for the bingo board that I am taking part in. I'm not going to check just in case I don't finish this book for whatever reason. I've not been counting DNFs as the bingo. But right, okay, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're all doing really well. Let me know what you've been reading. And if you've been taking part in the game, what game have you been taking part in TBRathon, and has it been nice to you? I'm going to stop waffling on now. We've had the intro, the chaos that it provided, and let's get on with this reading vlog. Today is going to be one hell of a filming day. I've got so many things I need to film, and honestly I'm a little bit behind schedule. Well, not massively, but you know, there's a lot I need to do today. So I want to update this vlog, then I want to update the Battle of the Booktuber vlog, the cozy reading vlog, then I also want to film my February TBR, and then also film my February, I'm doing a cozy romances recommendation video. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to call it. I think I'm probably going to say like cozy fantasy romance, because a lot of it is fantasy based, so I think that's the title we're going to go with. I've got loads of different filming things. I also want to go and get my nails done, but apparently my partner's now coming over, so I think I'm going to rejig my day. I was planning to do all the updates for the different vlogs, then skedaddle out and do my nails, get some food shopping and stuff, come back here, have some lunch, and then spend the afternoon filming the 2 bigger videos. But now if my partner's coming over, I may just see how much filming I can get done before he comes over, and then when he goes to work, go out and do my nails. We'll see. I mean, you don't care about any of this, like at the end of the day this doesn't affect you, but for me this is what I'm like. So I'm an obsessive planner. I do plan out my days off to the minute of like, okay, I'm gonna get up at this time and in the first hour I'm gonna get this done, and I'm obsessive like that. I genuinely can't help it. I can't function without a plan. The only time that I can let myself do, okay, we have no plan, is if I'm on holiday. Otherwise, I just kind of sit there and I then don't do anything with my day, and I then feel really bad because I haven't done anything with my day. And it's not even I'm sitting there doing things that I want to do. I'm sitting there just doing nothing, staring into the abyss. Anyway, all of that rambling aside, I haven't actually read loads. So I started a little bit of The Familiar, but the last couple of days before work have ended up being a little bit busier. So obviously the day that I found out I was reading this, I managed to sit and read for like 20 minutes, half hour, and then yesterday I was wrapping up last week's vlog. I was finishing like editing all of that, which took me a little bit longer than what I thought, and again, by the time I had time to read before work, like I haven't read much. But I'm up to chapter 9, page 53, and one thing I'm loving is how short these chapters are. I really do appreciate short chapters. It just feels so much easier to read, and plus when you've only got like 10 minutes to spare, I can just finish out a chapter. I do stop in the middle of chapters and the middle of pages if I have to, but I prefer finishing at a chapter. So far, because I can't comment loads because again it's only the first 50 pages, so we've got a long way to go in this book. So far I'm actually not minding it. I think the tone, like the setting of it, I actually quite like. It's a little bit darker, it is more historical leaning. We're following our main character Louisa, and she is really struggling. Like she's this like scullery maid where the people that she's working for don't have much money, and so she is one of 2 people that help out in this house. So she's always run ragged, she's always got loads to do. The wages are rubbish, but you know what, she had to take what she had to take. She had no other choice. And she is able to do these like little small magics by singing a little rhyme under her breath, and it will make these little magics happen. Where we are, the person that she was working for realised this and automatically wanted to use her because she is very unhappy. She's in a loveless marriage. Before this was brought up in a household where, again, it was just loveless and horrible. So she's very heartless and she is desperate for attention. She is tired of being stuck in her house alone day after day, not being able to do anything, not invited to anything because they're not well off enough to host anything, until she realises Louisa has this small magic and her fortunes start changing because she starts using Louisa like this. However, it seems like things are going to change up and Louisa's not going to stay with this woman. But so far, I can say I actually don't mind it. I quite like the darker atmosphere to this. I'm quite enjoying the different things that we're learning as a character. I quite like how Louisa is very changeable. She kind of goes from one emotion to the next, but it suits her because she's younger. So I don't mind that. At times, she's like, I'm going to push out against things. Why shouldn't I use my magic? Why do I have to live this life of poverty all the time? It's not fair. And so she's railing against things. And then other times that fear catches up to her. She's like, oh my God, I've made the worst decision possible. I should have just hid. I should have stayed under notice. Like things would be better and safer for me. But then she'll go, well, what sort of life is that? So I quite like that. I don't mind that she's quite like extremes, one extreme to the other, because again, she feels very young. Can really feel for it, like being stuck in a horrible position where you're sleeping on the dirt floor and there's just not much, you're being run ragged all the time. Like I can understand you going from extremes, especially because, you know, must be tired and worked out and stuff, and I know when I'm tired I go from extremes. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like so far I'm enjoying this. I'm glad I went in with reservations that I did of like, I'm not going in to absolutely love this book, but it's good. So far, I'm liking it. I'm liking the tone and everything so far. So yeah, I'm happy to continue it. I did double check with my sister and she did read this and liked it. So I'm hoping that I'll be on the same wavelength as my sister, because we do tend to, when it comes to like fantasy books and stuff, we tend to agree with a lot of what we read. So far, I'm liking it. I just haven't made much progress. I would like to read some more of it today. We'll see how much we get read. I'd love to say like 100 pages. That would be really nice if I could read 100 pages of this today. That would be awesome. But we'll see. But yeah, that's that. I haven't read my 10 pages of The Ways of Seeing yet. I read it for yesterday, so I'm now up to page 98. And yeah, honestly, I'm just not loving this, but I don't have long left. It should be by the end of this weekly reading vlog I finish this out. So I still need to do my 10 pages on that. Nothing more to say about it, to be quite honest. And that's it. I have other reader news, but that's for other videos, so not much more to say on that, apart from I don't really know what's happening with my day. Tomorrow morning I know I'm going to Costco, get a few little bits from there, and then I'll just be editing. So, and then I'm back on my early shifts, so we'll see. Hopefully the next time I check in I would have read a good amount of The Familiar, and hopefully it's still positive. So we'll see. I'm intrigued. I know there's a romance in here, but I don't know what it's gonna be like. I also know Louisa's having to hide a lot of who she is because she's Jewish or has Jewish ancestry. It's not been like talked about loads because it's a part of her that she's having to hide. She has been baptized. I'm not very good on my religion, to be fair. And so you've got talk about that, so having to hide who you are. I mean, we are going to be going to like Desperate Kings, Holy Men, Seers, and we've got the Inquisition going on. So like it's going to get a lot bigger, I think. But so far, obviously, just meeting Louisa and her situation and the fact that she is having to hide parts of herself, and it makes her magic even more scary for her because she is Jewish. So if people were to look into her background and see that her family's Jewish and all of this stuff, that it would be even worse for her. Anyway, right, I'm literally just waffling on about nonsense. I've got a bunch of other videos to update and film, so I'm gonna get on and do all of that, and I will catch up with you probably in a couple of days' time. Hopefully having read some more. We'll see. Costco in the end. We decided instead to have a very chill, lazy day at home, which has been lovely. It's been such a nice morning. We have finished watching Solo Leveling season 1, which is so much fun, and we're now caught up with what episodes are out on season 2, and I love it. And then we decided to have a little bit of a manual reading session together and read the first couple of volumes of Solo Leveling, and we've been like comparing what did they keep, what did they cut out of the show. It's so good. I actually really do enjoy this. It's just a lot of fun. If you don't know what this is about, it's a Korean manhwa, and we're following Jinwoo, who is known as the weakest hunter of all mankind. Basically there are like these dungeons that open up that hunters have to go in to defeat the bosses, otherwise there can be a dungeon break and allows those dungeons into our realm, because they're like portals almost. Our main character's always been the weakest of the weak until something happens and he is now able to start leveling up in a way that no one has been able to before. It is really fun, I really enjoy it, and so I decided that I actually, after watching season 1 and watching the first 2 episodes of season 2, that I really wanted to reread these 2 volumes because I have read these 2 before. I'm pretty sure I've read this and then part of volume 3. Yeah, I didn't complete the full volume 3, mainly because my partner is making it so that I can only read to where we've watched up to. He's read the whole thing, and we've just been slowly collecting the volumes as they come out, and I have been reading them with the show. I really do like it. It's really good. I am intrigued to see what's happening, but I also quite like reading it with the show as we're going on. So I spent this morning chilling out with him, watching the show, rereading these 2, reading them together. Like, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, but that does mean that I have once again gone off my TBR. This is the week of going off my TBR, apparently. So I do want to roll to see if either of these 2 will fit in with paws and bookshelves. That would be really handy. As for the bingo board, these do work for a translated book because they are translated from Korean, so that's great. So we've ticked off another one from there. I don't think any of the rest of the volumes work for anything in particular on their own on this bingo board, unfortunately. I do really want to continue with my rereading today though, and read what I read of volume 3, completely finish it, and my partner's put in up to where we are with season 2. So hoping that I can do a couple of rolls for paws and bookshelves and also get these on, because I know that I do want to do that today. I do have one video I need to edit, and then that's about it. I need to go to bed early because I'm on my early shifts tomorrow, but that's kind of all I'm planning to do today. I want a really nice relaxing day. I will still read some more of The Familiar because I did read not a bad chunk of this yesterday. I got up to chapter 21, page 137, which isn't too bad. I would say I'm about a third of the way through this book so far, and you know what, so far I'm liking it. It's slow moving, but I like the slightly darker, more gothic tone to the book, which I am enjoying. I prefer it to the Shadow and Bone series just in terms of writing style. I do think I prefer Leah Bardugo's adult work, and we're just seeing Louisa, who is now going to have to go through some of these trials to perform for the king, basically, and this will help the people that she's employed by and go up in standing within society. Basically, lots of people are trying to use her for different things and she's kind of stuck in the middle of it all. However, she is getting mentored by this guy who seems to be immortal, not vampire, but there are heavy implications of vampire behaviour in this, which is annoying because I know it's not vampires. And I feel like, you know what, I just wish you did it. I just wish you went for it and did a vampire, but it's not. It's more like an immortal magical person, I would say. So it's a bit like Louisa, but just made immortal and slightly different magical abilities, although we haven't really seen them. But that's just like my suspicion. And we've seen Louisa pull off this really big feat of magic and how that had bad consequences for herself. Kind of getting an idea of the limits of her power, what are the limits of her power, that sort of thing. And there's also a lot of talk about being Jewish in this time in Spain, where Christianity is very heavy, being different, being Jewish, Muslim, etc. is really frowned upon and looked down upon, and how Louisa really struggles with that, and just different things that she's starting to realise, like her aunt in this. She's kind of getting eye-opening about what her aunt keeps secret and things, and just realising all those different politics and things and how you've got to try and play the system as much as you possibly can to actually get anywhere in this world. It is quite interesting. I can't say how accurate any of it is. I'm enjoying it nonetheless. Like, it's an okay read. It's fine. Is it my new favourite thing? No, but I'm also not disliking it, which is what I was worried would happen. So actually, I'm quite pleased that this got picked for the board game, because otherwise I never would have got around to this. I think it would have sat on my TBR for like another year or so, and then eventually I would have unhauled it without reading it, just because I'd been so put off by some of the things that I had heard. Because this worked so well for the board game, I'm actually quite pleased. Like, will I still eventually end up unhauling it? Maybe, because I am trying to be a bit more ruthless with my unhauls and keeping books that I absolutely love on my shelf. And this one I don't think I'm going to be absolutely head over heels in love with, but I'm also not disliking it either. I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go, where Louisa's storyline is going to go. I also like the fact that it's not just Louisa's point of view, that we do get multiple POVs in this. Louisa is our main character and the main person we go to, but we do have a perspective of our mentor that is immortal. We also have a perspective of Louisa's employer, the female Valentina, I want to say her name is. Little characters that you do meet that are integral to the story, but also you can tell the main character all revolves around Louisa in some way. But I do like the little things that Leigh Bardugo is dropping in this book. First sentence is, if the bread hadn't burned, this would be a very different story. And then it goes on to say, if the cook's son hadn't come home late the night before, if the cook hadn't known he was hanging around that lady playwright, if she hadn't lain awake fretting for his immortal soul and weeping over the future fates of possible grandchildren, if she hadn't been so tired and distracted, then the bread would not have burned, and the calamities that followed might have belonged to some other house than Casa Ordano, on some other street other than Cala de dos Santos. And I just like that. I just like the tone of this, how it has that little drops of foreshadowing, like if this hadn't happened. And I quite like that. I like thinking about the events that led up to this. Something as simple as burned bread, something as simple as not cutting her hair, and the things it's going to lead to. I actually do like that as a writing technique. I do plan on reading more of this today, but like I say, my main thing that I want to focus on is getting volume 3 read and reading the majority of volume 4 of Solo Leveling. I would really like to do that. And then I'll read a little bit more of The Familiar, which I do think I should be able to finish this week, because I'm going onto my early shifts. And I say that because I kind of, in a way, have more time for reading after an early shift than I do before a late shift. And technically, it's kind of weird to think about. The timing is around the same amount of time that I get at home, but for whatever reason, I always feel like I've got more time when I finish work at 3:30 than when I start work at 3 in the afternoon. So because of that, and because this is going to be my only book at home, I think I can definitely get this one read for this week, which would be great. And then hopefully we can get back on track with my TBR next week. That's the hope. We'll see if it works like that. And I say this is my only book at home because this is the only physical book I'm reading currently. I am reading another book I'm in the middle of currently. That's an ebook I'm really close to finishing, and that's for Battle of the Booktuber. So I think that's going to be finished tomorrow. And then I'll be going on to another ebook, but that's for my cozy reading vlog. I'm really pleased that I've had a head start to Battle of the Booktuber, that I'm almost done with one of the vlogs, because there are 5 vlogs that we're doing. So I'm really pleased that I've had a head start and one is pretty much done. And then it gives me time to just chill out, read for the cozy reading vlog, and not feel quite, I think last week felt very like, oh, I'm reading so many different things, because I was reading for 3 different vlogs. I can manage 2 vlogs at the same time. 3 is a bit more juggling, that I'm just like, I can do this, sort of, hopefully. But right now I've been doing all this waffling, and what I actually need to do is do some rolls for here and hope that we can get the 2 volumes that I have read on this. So I'm up to odd number of pages. Hopefully the next 2 rolls can give me something that works for those. Otherwise, I guess we'll see how that's gonna go. I don't know, I could be setting myself up for disaster, but I am in the middle of a book, like I said, for Battle of the Booktuber, so if it doesn't work for those, I didn't want to count my Battle of the Booktuber because I can't tell you what the books are. So because I can't tell you not even the title of the books or anything, I didn't want to put them for this, but I may have to. We'll see. Let's go to that roll. Wow, this is a way more chatty update than what I was expecting, probably because I've had such a chill morning. Let's go have a look and see what this game gives me. Really hoping that the dice gods are in my favour today, so let's see what we get. 5. You know what, that's better than a 1. that we started the game off with twice this week, so I'll take it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A debut book. I'm going to check if the original story, if the author has done any other work other than solo, because if they haven't, then that would count. Let me check. Okay, it looks like the author has only written solo leveling, so I have read a debut book, so that works really well. Okay, that's done well. Amazing, happy with that. Let's go for roll number 2. 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 2025 goal. Okay, that's not, well, my goal in 2025 is to continue on with some series. Let me do one more and then we'll come back to that one. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've made it past the book stack that took me out earlier this week. Okay, so first of all, I do want to collect the dog, which is a genre blend. So I'm going to have to try and combine that with recent buy. That's not gonna work. Okay, let's reconvene. Okay, well, you know what? We didn't do too bad. The first square that we landed on, debut book, as I already said, the author of Solo Leveling, this is their first work that they've done, or at least from what I could find online, so that counts as debut. So I'm really happy with that. Then we got 2025 goal, and I didn't really set any proper reading goals apart from the fact that I want to read less and I do want to continue on with series more. But I do also have my 2025 goal like reading list for the year. Solo Leveling was not on there. I can't make the Battle of the Booktuber book work for that. The cozy book that I'm going to be starting won't work for the 2025 goal either. So I could be cheeky and stretch it and be like, well, I've continued a series. That is a goal of mine this year, is to continue a series. Even though this is reread, it's for me to then continue on with the series. So I could technically do it like that, which I may do to give myself a break, mainly because the roll after that was then a recent buy, which none of these volumes are recent purchases, so I can't count that at all. Could I count a Kindle purchase as a recent purchase? Because technically the most recent book that I've purchased is the Kindle book that I'm reading for Battle of the Booktuber. I can't even tell you what it's about. I can't tell you anything. Just know that the most recent purchase has been a Kindle book that I am close to finishing. So we're going to do that. It's not a genre blend though, so I think I'm just going to have to give up the idea of collecting all the dogs because I just don't have a genre blend with me that's going to work for that. And let's go check 2025 and see what I can do about that. Unless of course I do be cheeky and do it as continuing a series is an overall goal that I've got this year. Saying that, I'm taking part in a year-long readathon hosted by Rainy. This is her series readathon, so I could do something that continues from that, which that one is second book in a series, which I did reread the second book in a series. So do I just do that? Yeah, okay, so for 2025 goal, we're going to do the year-long readathon that I'm taking part in that's hosted by Rainy. That's all about finishing out series and continuing on with series. And one of the prompts is to read the second book in a series. I did have a different idea for that one, but this is the second book in a series, so even though it's a reread, it doesn't matter. I don't think that was stipulated. Okay, that's great. That is honestly amazing. We have got a couple things onto the rolls. I'm not going to push my luck any further. And we're just going to read some of the familiar, read these, do some editing, and that is going to be my day, and I will check back in with you probably in a couple days time, but I just don't know if I want to do any more rolls. Like, part of me does want to do one more roll just to see if we can get volume 3 in there, because I mean probably not volume 4 because I'm not going to be finishing it, but if I could put in volume 3, that would be really good. But also I'm kind of scared because like the next thing's coming up. If I then can't get it to fit with this one, then it would have to be choosing a new book, which I don't want to start another book until I start next week's vlog. So I think I'll save that for next week and we'll just have this as an extra read for the month, and that's absolutely fine for me. I think we're gonna do that. I think we've tested our luck enough today. We've made it work. I am dropping books everywhere, sorry. And yeah, we're gonna go with that. Thank you, Rainy, for enabling me to make that work, because otherwise I was going to be like, oh god, now I've got to choose an extra book to put on, which I don't want to start another book right now, apart from the manual that I'm reading. I will plan on finishing out the volume 3 and that today. The problem is I can't really tell you too much about what happens in these because I don't want to give away spoilers, so I'm literally just going to leave it with that overview that I gave you of what Solo Leveling is about, because I can't really go into details of each manual because each volume continue straight after one another, so anything I say is spoilers. So it's just the overview I gave you, but I do really like it. I'm also looking forward to, after this, we do plan on watching something else, which will be really fun, and then see whether I want to start reading that manga series of whatever we choose. I think it's Jujutsu Kaisen we're thinking of next. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, I'm still waffling on. I've actually got things I need to do, so I'm gonna count this update as a win. I'm really happy. I think it's kind of forgiven for what happened at the start of this video. Some reading updates for you, but before I get into what I have read, I'm going to talk about what I haven't read for the last few days, and that's The Ways of Seeing by John Berger. I have just not picked this book up for like the last 3, maybe 4 days. I'm meant to be reading this 10 pages a day with my partner. If you watched last week's vlog, you'd know about that. And I did consider skipping ahead, but so this is essay number 5. Number 6 is like a 12-page essay that is just imagery again, which again is like, it's fine, I can look at it, but I'm not gaining anything from this. And then number 7 is the very last one, and I just don't know. It's not like I have a lot left of this book. I'm up to page 98. There is 154 pages in this book. Like, it's not like there's loads left, but I'm also finding myself that I'm kind of forcing myself to do it, and again, finding every excuse possible not to pick this one up. But I think this might end up being a DNF. You know, it isn't great because I've started January off and I've DNF'd 3 books so far this year. This would be the 3rd one, which is quite a bit considering we're only on the 18th. Is what it is. Like, it was interesting to try. I liked that at first it was challenging my perceptions on things, but you can clearly see it's dated and it's just not as up to date as I would want it to be. And a couple of bits here and there were interesting, but nothing really that would make me go, oh, this is a standout. I would recommend this book to people. I would keep this one. Like, it's just not really working for me. But moving on to better news, I did read volume 3 of Solo Leveling. Really enjoyed this, although I did get moaned at by my partner because I read all of volume. So right, we spent the morning together, we watched Solo Leveling, started reading the volume 1 together, then he went home, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna read 2, 3 and what I can of 4. So I did that, sent him a voice note saying what I thought about it, what changes I saw between the manhwa and the anime, and then he was like, oh, but we're meant to be buddy reading them and I haven't read them. And I was like, I told you I was going to be reading it, that's all I wanted to do for my afternoon. It's fine, I can wait for you for volume 4 because it's too late now. I've already read volume 3. My partner's read this series like about 50,000 times already, so he knows it all. It's not a problem. But it's just funny that I got told off for going ahead. Like, I am pretty bad with buddy reads normally, to be fair. And it looks like with my partner, I am no better. We did want to read another manga series together, and we started, and I think we got to like volume 4 and then just stopped reading it for whatever reason. But yeah, really enjoyed volume 3. This was really good. I just really like it. And then what I was finding is when I was reading this, I was wanting to put the anime on to see certain scenes play out, and it was just, it's good. Because one thing I can say in manga, like, I like it, but like the battle bits I find harder to visualize, and it's weird to say that because it's literally an art form, but you know, like, to make sense of what's going on it's easier with the anime because you can actually see it being done. Parts of it, when we get into those scenes, I'm kind of wanting to watch the fight on the anime rather than reading it in the manual, but I'm still enjoying this. This is really good. But I haven't read volume 4 yet, and I did want to say, actually, for 2025 goal, I did check on Rainy's reading challenge for the year, and yes, rereads can count if you want to do it on easy mode. However, I had said to myself I did kind of want to do hard mode and that I didn't want to include rereads, so I'm not going to count volume 2 for 2025 on the pause and bookshelves. Instead, the next roll I have next week, whatever that is, I'm going to combine the 2025 goal with that roll, and hopefully it will give me a book that works on my 2025, either my 2025 TBR or as part of Rainy's series year-long challenge. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens there. I mean, I can fall back on the reread if I want to. Really want to read this bit of volume 4, but I think I will message him and just be like, have you read up to volume 4? Can you get a wiggle on, because I want to read this? But I am almost done with The Familiar. I'm up to chapter 35, page 237. I think I've got about 140 pages left, so I think I'm just gonna do 70 pages today, finish it off tomorrow. I'm still liking this. I can see why so many people haven't liked this one and are a little bit let down by it. A couple things. One, it's very slow. I don't care about that. I actually quite like a slow-paced book. Like, it, as long as the writing tone and voice and like narrator is fine, I don't mind if it's a slower book. That doesn't bother me. I will say, like, the trials in this, so Louisa has to undergo these different trials. Those are made to be a lot bigger and a lot more higher stakes than what they actually are. So the trials themselves seem to be over really, really quickly. They don't seem to be that high stake. I don't personally mind. I'm more reading it for the characters than anything else. And Louisa is an okay character. Like, this is not a book that's going to stay with me. It's not really going to be one that I would recommend to a lot of people. Like, I think it's fine. If you want a gothic historical fiction with a slight bit of magic, then yeah, sure. But the magic system's not really explained. It's very soft. It says that there are limits, but it doesn't tell you what the limits are. That doesn't bother me because I read so many cozy books and I've read so many light fantasies as a result. I'm used to magic systems not really making sense and you just kind of go in with it. That doesn't bother me, but I know people that prefer more explanation, more like, well, why, how does this work, why, what are the limits, what can you do with it, and stuff like this, would find that annoying because it's really not explained. Also, Louisa's mentor, I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not even gonna try. The vampire character that I wanted to be a vampire in here. You get a bit of an explanation because he tells Louisa his story about how he became the way he is. But again, that's still not fully explained. Like, and I think it's just because the magic system in this is not explained at all. And so because you do not understand the parameters of this magic system, it doesn't really get explained, a lot of the stuff. Again, I don't really mind, I'm not bothered about that, but I really can understand why some people really wouldn't like this because of that. There are also slight historical inaccuracies. I'm not a history person, I failed history, I'm not very good with it. But one thing I did read was just the author's note. Leigh Bardugo does say that she did take liberties with certain things for dramatic urgency. She altered the dates and some of the circumstances. There are certain characters in this book that are people in history and how she kind of took and used. And so I can understand some people getting annoyed with that as well, because she has taken actual historical events and used them so heavily, but then also took liberties with them. Again, I can understand that really bothering people. For myself, I don't really know the history of it. So I think because I'm not bothered about a soft magic system and it not being too explained, because I'm not too bothered about historical inaccuracies. It depends, because if I know my history about it, then it will bother me. Like, there was another book that took a person from history, what he actually did to people, how horrible it was, but it was based in France, and then they put it in Scotland, and I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. That I don't like. At least she kept Spanish people in Spain, so I'm like, so at least you've done that. Taken liberties here and there. I don't know what liberties she's taking, because again, I don't know the history behind it, but I can understand why that would annoy people. For me, I think I just like the setting of this. I like the gothic atmosphere to it. I enjoy the historical setting. I do kind of like Louisa as a character, even though I don't agree with everything she's doing. I can understand that burning hunger to want to just be better, to have more things, to improve her station in life and not be stuck where she is. Like, I get all of that. I kind of am like it. Like, I'm still in that same situation of, I can see all the problems with this book. I don't love it, but I'm also fine to carry on reading it. Like, I'm really quick to DNF books. As I've mentioned, I've already DNF'd. Well, I think I'm going to DNF Ways of Seeing. Like, thinking about it, I'm just going to DNF it. So that's already 3 books that I've DNF'd this year. So I'm really quick to DNF a book, very much an advocate for it, but I'm not enjoying this. So I don't want to DNF it. I don't feel the need to DNF it. I do kind of want to find out what's going to happen. I want to see where this is going with Louisa because of those little drops of foreshadowing that was put in that I actually like. So yeah, I'm actually not mad about this, and I think I would be interested to see what else Leigh Bardugo puts out as adult work, not the young adult stuff. And I think that's just where I stand with this one. So I'm kind of pleased that this did come up. I started editing the intro to this video, and oh my god, was I fidgety as hell. I mean, I move a lot anyway. I like to talk with my hands and stuff, and so it's kind of irritating when I'm cutting out parts where I take a really deep breath and it's really loud, just because I don't like listening to that. Moments of just like silence for like a few seconds where I'm like, okay, this is weird, because I know a lot of people put these videos on in the background while they're doing things, so I like them to sound like they flow together nicely. And so it does mean that you will get cuts on screen where I kind of like jolt around a bit, because I've cut out those little instances. That's the reason why. All those little bits where I'm jolting around is normally because I've cut out a really deep breath that I just don't want you to have to deal with. Wait, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I was editing that first bit. But the thing is, I kept moving. I wasn't comfortable. I set up a filming bit and I wasn't comfortable in how I was sat. And so I am constantly fidgeting. It is probably the most chaotic intro to a video I've had. Between the rolls and the prompts that I was getting, and the fact that I was uncomfortable but didn't want to change my camera setup, it is the most chaotic video. I hope the intro is okay. Like, I'm sorry about that. But I wasn't going to refilm it and stuff, because one, I wouldn't be able to refilm. I mean, I could refilm the bits before but then it's not authentic, and I don't like doing that. So as much as we had a very chaotic start, and honestly, those first 2 rolls were absolutely awful, I'm actually kind of pleased, because if it wasn't for that, this book would never have been picked up. Like, it would have taken me such a long time. It's one of those books where I would have had to have something to force me to pick it up. It's not something I would have picked up on my own. So I'm really pleased I did that, which is weird to say because like I pre-ordered it. But again, I was looking forward to it when I pre-ordered this book, and it wasn't until after I received it, a few weeks later, all the reviews started coming in and I started hearing all the negative things, that I was then like, oh, not good. But you know what? It's not a new favourite. It's not a book I would shout about and stuff, but I also don't dislike it. So that's pretty good for me. I'm pretty happy with that. But right now, Leandra's hosting sprints, and I'm pretty sure her timer's gonna go off soon. So I'm going to stop this recording, pause her sprints, wrap up a video for Battle of the Booktuber, because I actually finished the first vlog for Battle of the Booktuber. I'm so impressed. In the intro of that video, I was saying how, oh, this video is probably going to go over a month or two. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, because I can't, oh my gosh, I can't even say anything about it. But 2 weeks instead of a month to 2 months. So that's really good. I am so ahead of the curve. Very happy with that. And then I'm going to do some food. I'm going to try making some sushi stuff. It will be really good. I've been really wanting to try it, and I have like the molds for it all, so hopefully it works. I say sushi like as in sushi rice. I'm doing a chicken filling, but yeah, anyway, I'm waffling on, and I'm actually just like thinking that cat is gonna meow, because that's the sound effect that Leandra has for her sprints ending, and I know that it's gonna scare me. So there's one of those things, like if I'm not paying attention to it, I don't get bothered by it, but if I'm anticipating it, it will make me jump. That's weird. Anyway, this is what happens after my early shifts. Like, I'm normally quite talkative anyway, but when I'm tired and talkative, oh, there is no stopping me, clearly. So you know what we're gonna stop? We're gonna press the off switch. I finished The Familiar and I'm really happy with that ending actually. I think it was very satisfactory. It really wrapped up each character in this book rather well. So I was quite pleasantly surprised with this book. Like, my thoughts and feelings haven't really changed on the fact that it's a good book. Not one that I would be raving about, probably not one that's going to stay with me, but I liked it. I think going forward for Leigh Bardugo's work, I would just get maybe a Kindle copy of her work. I don't feel the need to necessarily have it on my shelves, but I did like the story and I would be interested to see what else Leigh Bardugo brings out in their adult work going forward, because I do think the gothic elements of this were done pretty decently. There are some bits that, yes, could be explained a little bit more, but as I've already said, I'm not so bothered about those things. So overall, yeah, this was good. I liked it. I liked the ending. I thought it was an okay book, which I'm really pleased with because, as we know, I was worried going into this one, and again, this really would have just sat on my shelves for absolute ages. So everything I've already said about this book, I don't have anything extra to add to it. I just think it was a decent read, which I'm pleased with. That's better than what I thought it would be, so I'm very happy with that. Mainly just because I did just get put off by so many other people's comments rather than listening to my sister trusting in my initial gut reaction that this could be a book that I would like. So that's that one done. Oh, so we are going to go through the bingo board. Actually, no, let me do one more read and update and then we'll go through the bingo board. Yesterday I did read a short story from the Midwinter Murder collection, which, as we know, is my seasonal short story collection that I am reading. And the one I read, I feel like I've read before, but I checked all of my short story collections by Agatha Christie and I couldn't see it anywhere. So whether it's just been titled something different or whether it's just a story I feel like I know, I'm not sure. But the one I read was The Clergyman's Daughter, which was a Tommy and Tuppence mystery, which I did like, but I feel like I know that story. Like, I wasn't surprised by anything. Also, Tommy and Tuppence is not my favourite to follow. So again, this was a fine read. It was 18 pages long. Like, it did what it set out to do. Like, it was fine. So I'm pleased I got that read because I managed to finish this. I spent an evening just chilling out reading and finished that after the last update. So then I had yesterday evening spare, which I didn't do loads of reading, but I did read a little short story from this, which I was pleased with. So that's that. This is not going on for a bingo prompt at all because I'm not finishing this in January, so it's not going to go on for anything. Where I was talking about the bingo prompt, I have decided to DNF The Ways of Seeing for now. Don't know whether I'll get back to it at some point, whether I'll feel the urge to get back to this one, but I just have not picked this one back up and I'm just not feeling the want to. So I originally had this one down for, let me get my phone, Animal on the Cover, which was Amy's prompt, which I then didn't carry on putting on in this weekly reading vlog, like where I've been editing it, just because I hadn't made any progress with this by the time I started editing. So I decided, you know what, no, I'm not going to have that one on there anymore, and instead I'm going to put The Familiar because there is a scorpion on the hand for Animal on the Cover. So to go over the bingo board so far, we have done a few. So last week we did Jess, which was longer than the previous read, which is the one on the top row. In the middle was Leandra's, which is Mood Read, which was the first week of January, and then this week I've done two, with Amy's being an animal on the cover, and then Solo Leveling Volume 1 being the translated read, which is Bee Trees. That's the bingo board, that's where we're up to. And to recap the reading that I did do on top of The Familiar is these 3 volumes of Solo Leveling. So I read volumes 1, well, technically reread volumes 1, 2 and part of volume 3, continued out, finished volume 3, and I still have not read volume 4, mainly because my partner only just caught up to where we are, but we did watch the next episode, season 2, episode 3, so now the bookmark has basically gone to the end. So I will get to this probably next week. And that's it for the reading. Like, I'm actually quite pleased with this reading. Like, did I plan to read this much? No. But honestly, manhwa and mangas, like, they're so easy to read. Like, a volume takes me about 40 minutes, top end. Having my day off spent just indulging in watching Solo Leveling the anime, then reading the volumes, like, it was so needed. I needed that chill reset and just time away from, well, actually this whole weekly reading vlog has been time away from my TBR, but it was needed, and I feel happy with what I read this week. So I'm really pleased with that. We also made some progress on the game board, sort of, with the first prompts ending me straight back at the beginning, and then eventually we have got round to recent buy. I have decided that for the 2025 goal, I originally was putting volume 2 as my 2025 goal, Rainy's 2025 series reading challenge for the year, and you can do rereads. I don't know if I want to do rereads. Did I say this in the last update? I may have. If I have, I'll edit this bit out. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do rereads, so I'm not going to. I'm going to see if I can. I said this. I did say all this. I'm pretty sure I said this. But yeah, I'm honestly pretty impressed with everything we read. We got all of this read. Okay, well, okay, not all of this. This was 18 pages, but you know, this was quite a decent amount, and it does go with what I think, which is it's on my late shifts that I read the least, just because I tend to be the busiest and I don't have loads of time, whereas on my early shifts I have a lot more time in the evening to rest and relax, and I also prefer reading of an evening time. Seems like I read loads this week, but in reality I haven't. It's mainly just the one novel with literally these, which combined took me what, 2 hours? Maybe 2.5 hours at most. But yeah, I'm pleased with this week's reading. I mean, the game was shocking, but I'm pleased with the result. Anyway, that's it for this reading vlog, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the chaos of this game and the fact that we just could not go with my TBR at all. I am hoping, I am in the mood for a sci-fi book, so I'm hoping next week's reading vlog we can get some cozy sci-fi in. That is what I would really like, but I guess we'll see if the game actually plays ball, which as proven this week, it really does not. So I guess we're gonna find out. I'm also really in the mood for the Shauna Maguire book, the 9th book in the Wayward Children series. Like, I'm really in the mood for that one. The 10th book's coming out really soon. You know, I know what I'm in the mood for. Whether it's gonna work, I guess we're gonna see. But thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate each and every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos, that listens to my rambles. But if you've made it this far and you just don't know what you want to comment, leave like a little scorpion, if there is a scorpion emoji, in the comments below. If there's not, I guess a spider will do. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those 3 things really help this channel out, so thank you. My social media links and everyone I've mentioned will be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.